That's Huck. He is the Huckster Hound. He is my mascot. He is a great mascot because he's always happy and he always agrees with me. Don't you, Huck?
Well, if you got a dollar, well, just lousy down. You know that I got rhythm that could suit your budget fine.
Hi, this is Patrick, the trusty Huckster Mercantile. Welcome to my channel. This video is going to be a combination of Shop With Me as well as a haul video as a wrap-up to the Comfy Trusty Meetup, which I just hosted over this past weekend with Michele from Comfy Cozy Living and myself, Trusty Huckster Mercantile, where we hosted a number of YouTubers, Instagram, vintage resellers, and collectors for a day-long shop hop of just some thrift and vintage stores. The day started at a citywide garage sale in North Aurora, and hindsight's 2020. It was probably not the best way to do a meetup where if you had any intention of actually sticking together. Admittedly, when I scheduled it, I had anticipated the citywide part being a little bit wider. Unfortunately, a lot of the subdivisions where we were focused, in some cases there was only one garage sale on the entire street. Some streets didn't have any at all. So we really couldn't walk in between each of the garage sales, so we had to drive. And so most of us met up at the first one. We lost one group right out of the gate. But the rest of us ended up going to one of the garage sales, and we said, okay, we kind of split off as people paid, they left. Like, I'll meet you at the next one. Well, we didn't really define what next was. And so depending on where you turned, we all ended up at different ones. So we kind of kept meeting and missing each other at different garage sales. I did find a couple of items, and one of the garage sales I went to, I was actually pretty successful, and several of us bought items from that specific garage sale. This was the third day of the 3-day citywide sale, so this particular garage sale, everything was half price. So probably one of my favorite items that I picked up from the entire from all of the garage sales, a Skippy Air Freshener. I'm going to assume it smells like a Skippy, but I haven't opened it yet. I haven't decided if I'm actually going to use it, if I'm going to resell it. I'm probably going to resell it. I don't know how old it is. It doesn't have a website or anything on it, but I don't think this is particularly, I don't even know if it's vintage. I do think it's got some age, because you can see the printing is a little faded on it. But it was one of these cases. It was 50 cents to start out with. Half price day, it's 25 cents. How could you go wrong? Skippy Air Freshener, come on. So I definitely picked that up. Another item I picked up, same garage sale, another item I picked up, admittedly is not something I typically even look at. If you've watched my channel before, or you can just look at me, you know that I'm a child of the 70s, and I've talked about the fact that I grew up in a house where Norman Rockwell plates and figurines and Precious Moments, and getting into the 80s was the David Winter, so that was like, high end. I grew up around that kind of limited edition collectibles. That's really not something I particularly want to get back into. If I work really hard, I could probably find some in some old boxes from after moving 7 times. I think I probably still have some of the Precious Moments. But anyway, it's so usually when I see the collector's plates, I know some people claim that there's certain ones still have value. I don't even bother. It's just not something I want to recreate or relive. However, I did see a plate that was sitting over there that looked different. And this is it. So it was one of those cases when I first saw it, I couldn't figure out why. I kind of liked it. And although it looked different, like this does not look like the Looking Out to Sea, Norman Rockwell. It's got a different finish. The beading along her belt is raised like it's moirage. It's just made differently. So I'm like, but it reminds me of something. What does that look like? And what I remembered was within maybe a month ago, I had picked up a pair of candlestick holders that were Italian, signed Veneto Flare. And they had this same type of technique on there. And when I picked this one up, that's exactly what it was. It's signed Veneto Flare. Now, it does say it's limited edition. This one does have, my personal favorite is the ones that say limited to 500 firing days. You have millions of those. This one is limited to 9,500 pieces. This is number 2344. And what I remember about the candlestick holders that I had purchased, the reason I picked them up at the time that I did, one, they were very cool. They weren't of a woman. But that technique I just thought was really attractive. But more importantly, when I looked at the comps, discovered they sold fairly regularly for pretty decent prices. Not astronomical, but definitely enough money that there was enough meat on the bone for me to purchase them when I did and then list them on Etsy for resale. So this was $1. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance because I know it's Veneto Flare, I know it's signed, I know it's the same era. If the candlestick holders have some value, this probably does as well. And it does. Again, not earth-shattering numbers. I'm not even sure I'm going to end up selling her on Etsy. I might just go ahead and put her into a live sale because I only have $1 on her. You know, maybe somebody would really like her and give her a good home. And that's really what Trusty Huckster Mercantile is about. It's trying to save things from going into a landfill and trying to find good quality material and merchandise that ends up in a place that wants it and will give it a good home and take care of it and steward it into its continue its life. Okay, that got really deep. I don't know why, but regardless, I do have this, and she has a name. It was from the La Belle Femme series. Something had her name. Oh, Gigi. Her name is Gigi. And she was actually part of the company that made her. The paperwork, certificate of authenticity, was all in the box. And what this actually was it was one of those cases, and I don't think I did this, but I was a kid, so maybe my parents did. You bought it wasn't a membership, but you bought if you bought every plate within a specific series, this was the gift for finishing the series. So what I thought was interesting was this was not from the series that they finished. I want to say the series they finished was something about like boats or something. So I think it was a great marketing ploy that they then give you this, which is part of a series. And now that you have Gigi, you need to go buy the rest. And it said right in the letter that this had a value of $75. This was back in the 70s. All right, so they put some high price tags on these things. I got her for $1, so she did not hold her value, but she still looks good. So this was one of those little, again, something I wouldn't normally have picked up, but because I recognized it, and then I was really proud of myself that I recognized the name. I remembered the name, Veneto Flare. So as soon as I saw it, it was one of, not necessarily a bolo, but I picked it up because I've got the one piece. Now I'm going to have 2 pieces, and we'll see how they do. I also have a stack of children's books. I think this was actually through a combination of 2 garage sales. I don't remember. I'm not going to do a lot of books. I have a couple on my Etsy store, but they don't really sell very well. But in the booth that I'm opening up, scheduled to open this weekend, actually, I'm opening a second booth. So interestingly enough, the Comfy Trusty Meetup was scheduled for the specific day that it was scheduled on because it was the grand opening of where I have my first booth. I'm opening a second booth, and I'm going to do something very different there, and I'm going to get into a lot of other areas that are not in my first location, and one of them is children's books. So I've got a lot of little golden books. I've got a lot of very true vintage books, but I branched out a little bit because I was able to pick all of these up for between 10 and 25 cents, but I picked something. I don't have a lot of Halloween items, so even though this is more modern, my booth will be vintage, but I can have a mix in there. So this will just be in the children's. Book area that I have in my booth, and all of these I got them inexpensively enough. I can put a low price tag, like literally this will probably sell for $3. Even in a vintage mall, because I want it to be an impulse purchase. If people are coming into my booth, I want them to be able to find something that's still multiples enough for even once the the mall takes out their percentages. I want to be able to pass these on inexpensively. So a couple of these are a little bit more modern or soft cover. in hindsight, I won't do soft cover again. This was one of those cases that, to be perfectly honest, the garage sales weren't very good. We were getting split up. Some people left, like completely left, like just, I'm not doing the garage sales anymore. We're just going to take off. That's fine. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So again, hindsight's 2020. What I ended up doing about an hour into the garage sailing is I just kind of texted everyone and said, look, there's another location. It's called Past and Present. It actually would have been on the itinerary had the citywide garage sale not happened. I just thought the garage sale would be more fun. And in general, I think it could be. It didn't work as a social activity for the very first activity for all of us to get to know each other. So unfortunately, that didn't really work. So I texted a new location called Past and Present. It's a very small store. And I said, like, let's all go over there if you want, and we'll still have time. We can probably do the entire store in less than half an hour and still make it to our last stop. So I actually did get some video of the Past and Present shop, and I'll show it to you here. So we can all remember our Dixon #2 Ticonderoga pencils, but here they are in the original box, which I don't think I've ever seen. Ethan Allen, hero of 1775. A fresh Ticonderoga pencil. What a way to start a day. I actually feel like they're pretty full, so it's a box of them for $4.50. Kind of a fun pick a point from 5 degrees of marble lead. All right, well, that advertising campaign passed me by. The Joseph Dixon Crucible Company. They'll stay here, but they're still kind of cool. So as a kid, I remember anytime we planned a vacation, we were a camping family. We had a big trailer that we hauled with us, but we were a camping family. And the big excitement of the day was when the AAA motor guides showed up. Now, they did not look like this in my day. So this one is copyrighted 1947, so a little bit before my time. But the Chicago Motor Club, 1906. But the concept's still the same. I still remember these. Look up the state, look up the city, and you get the information on the hotels, the rates, the reviews, everything you needed to plan your trip in the days before internet. So kind of a fun ad for $7. It'll stay here, but the Western Travel Guide, kind of fun. So I don't know if this is a thing, but this is the second booth in this location that has just these lone clock faces available for sale. I could see these making some pretty cool decor. $10 a pop, be an expensive way to decorate. But for clocks that have lost all ability to do any functioning and their cases are in really bad shape, keeping the clock face is kind of a neat idea. I have to watch for those to see if that's something that I want to start a new collection of. Who knows? Okay, really liking a lot of what's in this booth, and the price points are dead on, but not something I can pick up for resale. But I have never seen that little picture of the Louisville stoneware pottery, that duck with the woodland scene. I've never seen that before. And again, it's a good price, $12, but not something I can pick up for resale. And some really cute planters. Really liking this baby carriage with the stork on it. But again, at $8, not a lot of room for me to pick that up to resell. But just some really cute baby items with the baby scale on there. Really liking the porcelain dog. Always looking for things for the Just One More Dachshund rescue. Not a dachshund, but still nice to have. But again, he's $10. You can tell he used to be a chained set and his pups are missing, or her pups are missing. So $10 isn't a bad price, but again, not something I'm gonna pick up for resale. The other thing so the minute I saw this bin with these folders, I knew exactly what they were. And anyone of a certain age, we all know what they are. The dreaded report card. If you You've got the sleeve. Open it up. You've got, this one is for St. Joseph School in Aurora, Illinois, for Carl Greiter from 1945 to 1946, 4th grade. Let's see how Carl did. Carl was a lot of A's, a couple B's, not too bad. Final examinations. Oh, he got a 94 in religion. What a good boy. In September, though, he got a C in religion, so he's improved. And you've got all the signatures of Mrs. Carl Greiter signing off on the report card. Yes, we don't need to see those anymore. So we didn't have a lot of time there because it was really kind of sneaking in before we had to go to the next scheduled stop. So I was actually only able to find one item. But it was kind of a cool item because, again, I'm doing the second location and I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. And what I've created, I've dubbed my sin carts. And so I have 2 bar carts in my booth. They're going to have all kinds of cocktail and alcohol items on there, but also smoking paraphernalia and tobacconana, and then also gambling and poker and cards. And so one of the items I found was this boxed set of chem cards. Now, I did a little deep dive about a month or so ago with Laura Bemos from Bemos Mercantile, and she talked about dominoes. At this point, I don't have any dominoes for my booth, but I might be trying to convince her to do a deep dive on cards as well, because she is a collector of cards. And as I picked her brains, as I found things to go into my booth, discovered there's all kinds of things that I didn't even know to consider. So for a while, I'll probably just be picking up the things that I think are cool, that I'm getting at a relatively decent price. This was a decent price given the fact it was a vintage store. It was not a thrift store, it was not a flea market, it was not a Goodwill, but it was priced well, and it's priced where I think there's a little bit of room for me to put this in my booth with the themes of everything else that I have there. Maybe can garner a couple of extra dollars because it will attract some attention. It won't just be a random item within the booth. But it is I'm going to say plastic. I do not think it's Bakelite, although it could be. I really do need to figure out that weird sniff test that Misty talks about all the time. She said you have to rub it and then smell it and then lock that smell in your brain. But I have to know what Bakelite smells like first because this smells like nothing. So I'm going to assume it's plastic. But it's got the Chem logo embossed or raised on the top, and it's actually a 2-card deck box. What I liked about these, had to think of Jeffrey at Real Nifty Vintage, because let me find the pink ones. They are flamingo cards. So they have, I would have said they're cranes. So if it hadn't said flamingo right at the top, I actually wouldn't have thought these were flamingos. So I do not know my, let's see, not botany. What's birding? Ornithology, I think. Regardless, I can read though, and it does say flamingo. So somebody thought these are flamingos. What I thought was cool about these, so there's the traditional pink flamingo, and then there's also this kind of tealy green flamingo style as well. So I did check, the decks are complete. They've been both jokers, but the word flamingo only occurs on this one card, which is the replacement card, which I think is super cool. So I don't think this is necessarily rare, but I mean, I do. So this is something that they did back in the day, and it says right on there, you send this card in, you circle in pencil which cards you're missing. You send the money that you need to replace them. Then they send this card back. So if you need to get any more, you can use the same card. So each of the decks has the replacement card, and then it also has the instructions of how to play. So what I found most interesting about this is it's one of those cases, and this kind of came up if you watched the deep dive I did with Kelley from Little Golden Books. Now, you wouldn't think a Little Golden Books deep dive would have anything to do with gambling. But one of the things we talked about is how different copyrights get reflected. And so this is a case where the cards themselves, the Ace of Spades is marked, and it says it is copyrighted by Chem Plastic Playing Cards, 1935, with a very cool Art Deco, moving into modern portrait of a lady in the Ace of Spades. So that puts it at 1935. If you then look at the little how-to card, so this one has a note on the back of the how to take care of your chem cards. So that's the thing. On the back is it talks about that replacement card, and it says the prices are effective 1951. So you've got cards that have a copyright of 1935, but you've got the instructions on here dated all the way up to past 1951. And then, just to mix things up again, the little order card also has a copyright on it of 1947. So you've got everything from 1935 up to 1947 to 1951. Well, probably 1950, because it says that the prices are effective January 1st, 1951. So I think it would have probably been around 50 that was printed, or like right at the beginning of 51. So the cards probably did have a copyright, and they just had not changed the design. So the cards are still being printed with that original copyright, but that doesn't make the entire deck that old. So it's one of those cases that, if I were being completely unscrupulous, which I'm not because I'm trusty, I could take away the instruction card and I could take away the reorder cards, which are the two things that actually date this much later, and I could make everyone believe these are 1935 cards. I'm not going to do that. I actually find it more interesting, the fact that this is kind of crosses over a couple of different years, and the fact that it's still from 1950 or 1951 still makes it vintage by everyone's definition. And so what's the question? What's the issue? But it still has that cool artwork on it. So anyway, so this is one of those things that I'm going to definitely be putting into my booth, and we'll see how they sell. I think these are one of the more interesting sets. I think I did get a good price on it, and I think I'll be able to get a good price in my booth. So after we went to the past and present, we went to one of my favorite locations, which is the St. Vincent de Paul warehouse. So it's called DejaVu Shops, but it's the warehouse. And unfortunately, this is another area where hindsight's 2020, communication is key, and Crafty Jackie went to a different DejaVu. She went to one of the actual stores where we were at the warehouse, because I feel warehouses get better prices. But she did her haul video, and she actually found a couple things at the DejaVu shop in Geneva, so yay Jackie. But the rest of us went into this warehouse. I did get a little bit of video, so I'll show you what I captured. It doesn't show any of my actual shopping, but it kind of shows you what the place looks like and shows you a couple of the people that showed up.
She said, I knew you from your hair.
Here's Michele in the wild, looking
There
for...
she is. This is Jacqueline.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi. This is Patrick.
I'm Trusty. Can't you tell with the mask? I even have my logo on it. And there's Suzanne. So we are in the basement of the DejaVu shops for St. Vincent de Paul, their warehouse. And I've already found 2 pieces of M.A. Hadley, so I'm pretty happy. And what did Suzanne pick up?
I'm not sure.
Hey, ceramic watering can.
It's pretty.
What's the label?
You see it?
Reuter porcelain. German.
I like the rose now. Being Scandinavian.
Yeah. Oh, and Michele found books.
Yes.
They always have a nice selection
Division.
of the important books.
So although the video didn't show it, I did actually make a purchase there, and it was something that had to have arrived within the last week or two, because I had just been there a couple weeks ago, and it was 2 pieces that I recognized immediately, and I was a little bit surprised a couple of the other resellers had already walked by it, because I was actually a little bit late because of my stop at Past and Present. But it was a pair of M.A. Hadley cup and plate. Probably a children's set, because it is a smaller plate. But it is signed M.A. Hadley on the back, so this is from the Louisville Stoneware. Even after she left, they continued signing it M.A. Hadley. So it's there are very distinct designs. I've sold multiple pieces. I won't say many. I've probably sold maybe a half dozen pieces of hers. And they always sell. They don't sell for huge amounts of money, but I don't have a huge amount of money in either one of these. And the cup in and of itself is just super cute. I'd be able to remake my money just on this one piece because on the inside, it says Snappy. So they do that on some of the Hadley pieces. They get cutesy on the inside or put things on, the bottom of a bowl or whatever. So this was my only purchase at the DejaVu, the warehouse shop. But I was perfectly happy to get it. So we're just going to skip to the next item, which is the grand reopening of my the vintage store where I have a booth. Ironically, I have no footage from the booth. I have no footage from the store. I go there all the time. Now, I do post videos and individual photographs every once in a while. I might throw a couple in here, but I didn't take anything that day. But I did make a purchase. So one of the things that I bought was something that I had been eyeing anyway. And one of the things they were doing for the reopening was everything in the store was 15% off. So you know what? I will take a 15% off because I wanted this box. Because it's a pretty cool box. Nothing like rocket science or anything, but I thought it was pretty cool. But the reason I wanted it, show you the right side, is their handmade dominoes inside. Now, my intention had been to take the handmade dominoes, and maybe this would be sacrilegious or something, but I was going to separate them from the box and use this box to show off a set of dominoes that was made for me by Laura Bemos of Bemos Mercantile. Unfortunately, her dominoes are much thicker than this, so this holds a row of 7. I couldn't even get 6 in a row of hers. So maybe that was karma telling me not to break up a set. So I now have a hand-carved box, I'd say it's pyrography, burned box, and what I do believe are handmade dominoes with, if you watch the deep dive that Laura Bemos did on dominoes, it has that little nubbin in the middle, which I guess, from what I understand, it's one of those cases because you have the dominoes are sit face down when you go to pick them up. It makes it easier to pick up because it's raised up. So, makes sense to me. I don't know if it's really necessary, but the fact that, and they're kind of quirky because, they were handmade and maybe he was a little drunk or she was a little drunk when she started dotting those 6s. And they're none of them are signed. The box is not signed, but did pick it up. I'd been looking at it because it was a really good price even without the sale, but it was one of those I'm not sure I could even resell the dominoes for what I'd be buying the box for. Do I really want the box? 15% was enough to seal the deal. Took it home. Won't use it the way I wanted to, but I do have a cool box instead of dominoes. And actually, now that I say this probably will end up going into my booth. If it doesn't sell in the booth, I'll sell it in a live sale. But this will probably go in my booth along with some of the other games and vintage games and maybe in that gambling section because dominoes can be used for gambling. So it can be included in my sin cart. So that was what I purchased at the Vintage Marketplace in North Aurora where I have my booth. After the Vintage Marketplace, we went to Warehouse 55, which is actually on the exact same road as Vintage Marketplace, just closer to downtown Aurora. And I love Warehouse 55. They have a great aesthetic. They have some beautiful displays. Some of the same vendors there that I believe there are some of the same vendors there that are also in Vintage Marketplace. And it's a fun place to get inspired by. So this is the booth that I've been to before and picked up the cart that is going to be used in my new booth. So I know they've got pretty decent prices, and I just thought this was super cool. So initially, it just looked like a bookend or a little set that says Cheffinette. And there's different, recipes, but they all look like books until you open it, and then there's a place for your recipe cards. Isn't that cool? Unfortunately, it's $24. So it's probably worth all of the $24. I don't question that at all. But not something I want to start a collection on and not something I can resell. But that is very cool. It is marked on the back. What does it say there? Terry's Originals. So patent pending, but that's a very neat item. And I thought these were sweet too, and these actually are a good price and probably could be a good price for resale. I just don't know if there's much of a market. $18 for a full set of 6 of the glasses with the trim on little saucers. So sweet, but nothing I'm going to pick up. We were connecting. So from there, we went on to our last location, which was Thrift and Dollar, which if you've watched my show before, you've actually heard me talk about because I get a lot of stuff from Thrift and Dollar. And I think that ended up being probably everyone's favorite location for the entire trip. Because while a couple people were really happy and inspired by Warehouse 55 and for the Vintage Marketplace, they weren't really selling items that a reseller could purchase to then resell. Basically, that step has already taken place. So you really needed to be purchasing for your own collections, which some people absolutely did. Thrift and Dollar is a thrift store. It is better than any Goodwill I've ever been to. It's comparable to a couple good ones, but it's an independent thrift store. I don't know who they're raising the money for. I don't know if it's necessarily a nonprofit. It's just really good prices. They work kind of like a Goodwill in or at least the Goodwills in our area, that colors get discounted every day. So they have half price days all the time, and the colors change throughout the week. So as a reseller, I can go in there multiple times within a week and say, oh, nope, that color's not on sale. I'm not going to pick it up today. Maybe go back in 2 or 3 days, and if it's still there, maybe that color's now on sale. Where our Goodwills, a color usually lasts for an entire week, so it takes a lot longer to cycle through different colors. This one seems to be almost random, and I've yet to figure out their schedule, but that's part of the fun. So again, that one I didn't do any videotapes. I take that back. I do have a video, and I'm going to put it in right now.
Well, so supposedly we'll see.
So Corey has found an egg coddler, and she's done some damage, literally. So we'll see if they end up charging her for that. What's Michele found? Oh, did Michele find treasure craft?
No, but
I
thought it was, but...
Oh, awesome. Disneyland. Oh, man. I would have had that for a Disney sale.
Let's see.
Is this another Mikasa dish?
Yeah, just like the one I had the other night.
Yeah, I thought you couldn't sell the one you had the other night.
I think I did.
Oh, excellent. And what's Jackie found?
Very little.
Oh, very cool. I got an owl, little homemade. Is it canvas or stone?
It's canvas. I liked it. Vern said,
Very cool.
I thought it looks very Halloween-y.
Absolutely. Oh, and got some wood handle kitchen utensils. Awesome find. And what did Suzanne find? Oh, she picked up the package deal. What's the
$10. It's Wade.
Wade? Nice.
There's 6 plates.
The saucers and the mugs?
Only 2 cups.
Oh, okay.
Even just for the plates, it's worth it.
Candlesticks are nice too.
And, yeah, impression.
Oh, and
Those all have milk glass liners in them.
Oh, nice.
For our blue.
Excellent. And what's Cindy find? Oh, we got some figurine wear. Oh, she's putting it back. What's in the cart? Oh, got a figurine in the cart.
Yeah, I got a bunch of good stuff in here. Stuff on the bottom too. Can't live without my St. Patrick's Day. Got an inexpensive flower for it.
Look at all. I think you've got the most of everyone so far. All right, excellent. Totally forgot I had that video. So it wasn't of me shopping, but it was kind of a sneak peek of what a couple of the other people were doing. And I know that some of them have already put out their videos. Some were still going to be doing their videos. So maybe they'll talk a little bit more about a couple of the items I might have shown you in their cart. I go here all of the time. So it's one of those cases where sometimes I only get a couple of things. Sometimes I go in specifically saying, okay, look, I do not need a ton of stuff. I was just here 3 days ago. I'm going to just look in the wood section, or I'm just going to look at their coasters. Yes, it's where I get a lot of my coasters, and many of the resellers figured that out. Whatever the case, and other times I can fill a cart. So this time I was being a little bit more selective. One, I wanted to make sure that I considered everyone there my guest. I want my guests to get the good stuff so they could find whatever they wanted to find. What I picked up were things that they would have already, passed over. And one of them ended up being probably one of the favorite things I've picked up from them in a while. It's not vintage, but it's still really cool. It's an elephant bag or box. So, and before everyone freaks out, no, his trunk is not up. I personally have an affinity for the poor little trunks, the poor little elephants that don't have the upturned trunk, because everyone wants an upturned trunk, and the poor little elephants that are just not excited for the day don't get the trunks up, they don't get bought. So I bought him. Huck approves. And we are going to give him a home in my booth, because what I'm planning to do is put some of the books that I got and put them in there. Now, as you can see, some of the books are a little low. So Suzanne McLean had a good idea to just like stuff the bottom of this with, you know, boards or brick or whatever, cardboard box, to raise that up a little bit so that the books will stick up a little bit higher. But some of the taller books are fine. So this ended up being, I wanted to say this was like $3. I'm not even going to resell this. This will be not for sale in the booth, and this is going to be what holds all my children's books. So I was pretty excited to pick this one up, and that was a fun purchase from Thrift and Dollar. The other one that I got was again an area that had already been passed over by all the other resellers, so I was not taking anybody's specialties. But this I had not seen, so this was probably a recent addition. And it ended up not being. It wasn't actually. No, I think it was. It was a discounted color. It's just a picture frame, and it's not particularly old. You know, so it's got the porcelain picture frame, and the glass kind of rattles around in there. But the reason I picked it up, and it's going to be really faint, and you're probably not going to be able to see it, but I'll try. It has a mark on there, and it is Austrian. So it's Austrian porcelain, which I don't come across very often at Thrift and Dollar. And I just thought it had a kind of a cool design. So this is actually going to be coming into a live sale. Because it's a simple item. I couldn't find really a lot of information on the maker. Not everyone has the affinity of Austrian porcelain like I do, so this is probably not going to go onto Etsy. It could go to my booth, but this is just one of those fun things, I think, because a lot of my viewers know that I like all things German and Austrian. My daughter German more, I'm more Austrian. This will just be something fun to sell in a live sale. So it was another item that I picked up and was very happy to have had it. And then we left for dinner. Well, sort of. There was another communication gap, and Thrift U ended up at a different TGI Fridays than the rest of us ended up at. I could only stay literally for like 10 minutes because I had a performance of a fundraiser, community theater, online community theater program. And I'll throw the link to that in the show notes here. So that if anyone's interested in seeing that, a couple of people asked me about it. It is free. There's a link to donate if you'd like to, but you can totally watch it for free. I played God, which, was kind of fun. And I also dyed my beard black. So if you had watched my Instagram page, you'd have seen the photograph of me with the black beard. So you can go hunting for that on Instagram or just fast forward to the link. We were the 4th show. I'll try and put the time stamp so you can fast forward. I encourage you to watch all of the shows. I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but if you're only watching it because you want to see me play God, I'm the 4th show, so you can fast forward until you find that. But anyway, this was hopefully will turn out to be a relatively short video of the Comfy Trusty Meetup. I'm glad I did it. And again, hindsight's 2020. It didn't really go as I particularly planned, but what I had hoped for seemed to have happened, and everyone had fun. So that's what it was all about. That's why I did it. And even though I didn't get a lot of video, and even didn't get that huge of a haul, that's fine. I can go back to all these places. Well, the garage sales. I can go back to all these places and just keep picking because they're some of my favorite places, and I was super happy to be able to share them with the other resellers that joined us. So I will again have the links to all of the channels and all the individuals who joined us. Not all of them were YouTubers, so not all of them were going to be putting out content. But I will try and include all of the ones that some of them ended up. I'm not sure all of them ended up in the little video clips that I did. So if they did, I'll try and tag them. I'll see how much I can get edited into the videos. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you were interested in some of the places that we went. hopefully I'll do it again. I almost said soon. I'm not sure soon's going to happen, but hopefully I'll do it again. Maybe try some different places, maybe go to the same places, and see who else wants to join us. So thanks so much for your time. Thanks for watching my channel, and thanks for putting your trust in Trusty Huckster. Bye-bye.
Well, if I had a dime for every time I felt this way, you know I'd have $1 million and a couple bucks in change. Sure was nice to know you. Oh, maybe I'll catch you on the New York train. Or maybe I'll never see your face again.